Christopher Kurtz was not your typical Army recruit. He was 31 years old when he decided he needed a new path in life and enlisted.
Saw myself starting to spiral, and I didn't want that to become my new trend, so I took action.
Just a year later, 6 months into his first deployment, Chris was injured.
We were walking along and we got to this area that's known as a hot spot. In fact, I saw what looked to be somewhat of a mound in the dirt, but there were boot prints all over it. So I was like, well, maybe it's nothing. So I stepped on it. And next thing I knew, boom! I was looking at the sky.
A remote IED exploded beneath Chris. The blast resulted in the amputation of both legs, 2 fingers from his left hand, and a broken pelvis. Chris's wife, Heather, joined him at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center.
At the time that he was injured, I was pregnant, so I wasn't even able to get to him until 6 weeks after Gabe was born.
The first year was grueling. There was many times I wanted to quit. Eventually I got to the point where I didn't need as much motivation, and I was just doing it. And I was up walking around and legs and everything.
As Chris made progress in his rehabilitation, they considered what his injuries would mean for their future.
Everything was going to be different from that point, and I had to wrap my head around that.
Determined to find work, Chris learned a new trade, welding. His job hunt brought him to PTL Enterprises.
Chris did my interview, Chris Correll.
I was very impressed with Chris. I said, how are you going to adapt to some of the equipment we have? He pushed himself up in his chair and he said, I can reach this high. And when he did that, I hired him right there.
I'm really enjoying it, actually. I've met other welders along the way and machinists, and they've given me great advice.
Though Chris had found purpose in a new career, his living situation was less than ideal.
We ended up moving on post because that was the only ADA compliant housing we could find at the time. It's been challenging because it's such small quarters. His chair is big, and while they comply by measurement standards, they don't comply with, what we look at, like, for example, rolling up to the sink or reaching up in the cupboards to get cups and plates and things like that. And it came down to, we knew we wanted a house, we knew we wanted a home, and it was, are we going to, try to do what we can do with what finances we have, or are we going to see if somebody can help us?
Chris applied for a specially adapted custom smart home through the Gary Sinise Foundation's R.I.S.E program, and I was happy to call them and tell them he'd been approved.
And I was like, oh, Gary Sinise called my phone.
We were both like giddy.
With the support of national partners and independent community donations, the Gary Sinise Foundation began construction on the Kurtz family home, and in March of 2022, the home was completed.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. This is our house.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
It's such a blessing to be able to come through that door and know that this is something that my husband will have forever. I can't even put into words how I feel. It's just a big ball of emotion.
I was trying not to cry.
Too late.
Being able to roll up underneath the sinks, having an oven that is at my level, and it's just so easy to use, especially like the pull down shelves.
Of course, I've always said it since day one, the pantry, because I just love to cook.
It's a lot bigger than the other one, huh?
We can like sit in here and have snacks all day.
The difference in the bathrooms and the showers are pretty tremendous, especially when it comes to like safety. Dun, dun, dun.
Look at you. You could lay down and like take a shower.
We've had tremendous support from the community.
From everybody with the Gary Sinise Foundation, through the people that are in this very neighborhood. My next door neighbor, people across the street there, from the company I work for, PTL, they built me that garage out there. I'll probably be spending about half my time out there in that shop, building things, working on new ideas for those in my position and others in similar positions.
Right to the water.
I love that, the boys are gonna have their own space and they have room to run and they have room to play.
That's key, having room. be able to breathe.
This adventure is not over. It has just begun.
Chris and his family look forward to comfort and peace of mind in their new home. At the Gary Sinise Foundation, we serve our nation by honoring our defenders, first responders, their families, and those in need. To learn more about the Gary Sinise Foundation and how you can support other veterans like Christopher Kurtz, visit GarySiniseFoundation.org. Thank you.